Okay, so today I'm just going to be giving my thoughts on a highly anticipated game that I purchased maybe a month ago, 2 months ago-ish. I've been meaning to purchase it for years, and in fact I did, but it's in such low quantity or whatever on the internet that the copy I bought was fucking broken. So I finally got a copy of it. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I have been dying to play it. I really liked the first one. The third one was really fun. And so I had really... most sequels I have either watched or played. Godfather Part 2, better than the first one. Empire Strikes Back, better than the first one, in some ways. Silent Hill 2, better than the first one. Majora's Mask, better than the first one. Anyway, I had extremely high expectations for this game, and after playing it to completion, I can say with confidence that not one of my expectations was fulfilled for this entire thing. I finished it sometime last week, I don't know when exactly, and I was really mad. So I've given it enough time that, you know, when I'm doing this review now, I can deliver it with peace of mind, kind of, you know, I'm not... I broke a controller, okay? That's how... look at this. I broke a controller. The last time I did this, the last time I broke a controller, I was in, like, kindergarten. And that's when I had, like, unchecked, you know, rage when it came to video games. I didn't understand the value of, you know, a piece of equipment. I broke a remote. I've never played a game that has just brought out the absolute worst in me. Every time I've played it, you know, the first day was fun. I was a little like, okay, maybe we could get into the game at this point, because right now it just seems a little backtracky. But anyone who's played the game knows immediately what I'm talking about when I say backtracking. This game should be called Metroid Prime 2 The Fetch Quest, because that is all you're going to do the entire time. It's fucking difficult. It's, you know, I haven't played like really difficult games. I've played really involved games that take getting used to, but and you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people who disagree with me, because I'm not very good at video games. I really don't play frequently. And so I was thinking maybe that's part of the reason I hate this game so much, is that I don't play video games very often. And maybe I'm used to a more pedestrian type of game. But I've played very involved games for like months on end, you know? And this one just sucks. It fucking sucks. It is difficult. It is so difficult. You know? You go through... backtrack, right? You know, you have to backtrack. You're in one spot, and, you know, you take so long to get to this spot, and it's like, oh, congratulations, you beat the boss. Here's an item that you can use to go back to the other fucking spot you were just at. So you can unlock an item there, so you can go back to this spot to unlock another. You're just going back and forth and back and forth. There's no... the whole thing, you just get teased constantly. Okay, so yeah, so you're backtracking a lot, but the problem is the fact that enemies respawn in every single room. Like, you know, you leave a room and you go right back in, there's no enemies, it's fine. But then you go like 2 rooms away and then you come back, which you will inevitably do. You're gonna go to a different room and then you're gonna have to fucking go back through the same room because you forgot something or you went the wrong direction, because the maps are so fucking similar. So you're going to go back through this room, and lo and behold, there's going to be the fucking enemies again. The fucking enemies again. Which is a fucking pain in the ass, because the enemies are harder than the bosses. You know, the bosses, there's like logic to it. They're these kind of mind bender puzzles you gotta solve. Whereas these enemies, it's just like, it's duration, you know? It's lucky shots and the amount of bullets you pump into them. And here's the fucking thing. You are going to be using your, like, main rifle more than anything else. Because you get, like, the dark beam, you get the light beam. But both of them fucking require ammunition. And if that wasn't bad enough already, here's the thing. The dark beam, when it shoots, like, the bullets go incredibly slow. And the enemies just fucking bounce around all over the place. So the odds that you're going to hit the enemy with the fucking dark beam is very slim. Like, really, really slim. And then the light beam, it doesn't go there very far. You know, if you shoot the ball, you know, you shoot your normal blaster, if you shoot it into the sky, you can watch it go all the way until it, like, just disappears, you know? With the white beam, there's only a very specific trajectory that it takes. It's just so many little things in this game that just drive you insane. The story sucks. There's really no story. You know, the first one, it's interesting because you're alone on this, like, abandoned planet, you know, and you have to explore and you gotta learn about the planet's history and the lore and everything, which is really interesting because you get a genuine feeling that this planet is abandoned because there's a lot of stuff that's crumbling and it's in ruin and it's, you know, grass is growing over it, and you have zero contact with, like, the original inhabitants of the planet, minus, like, reading shit written down in walls, on walls and stuff. This one, the planet's not abandoned. There's just no one living there. It's just like a trial for you, essentially, because the idea is, like, there's this race there who, you know, found paradise, and then, like, these evil spawn came and took over the world, so there's, like, a light and a dark world. But at no point are you looking at this planet and you're like, oh, it looks really ravaged and war-torn. No, the whole time I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, everything here is really strategically placed to make me have to, like, fucking solve everything here. There was no... I think Metroid Prime 1, there's a lot of shit that didn't need to be there. You know, that might have been superfluous to the gameplay, but I liked that because I'm like, oh, you know, it doesn't need to be here, but it's here, so there's, like, a world outside of the challenges I have to overcome, whereas with Metroid Prime 2, perfect example, the fucking 9 keys at the end of the game. As if the keys I had already gotten were not enough. I had to get 9 fucking more at the end of the game just so I could fucking end it. Just so I could fucking complete the game. You know? But here's the thing. In order to find those keys, you have to go through the lore that you recorded earlier, that you read earlier. So you realize, like, oh, the lore I read really has nothing to do with, like, oh, here's some facts about the planet, you know? Here's something that you might find interesting that has nothing to do with the game. You know, we put it here because we want to build an environment for you to exist in while you play. No. You might think that at first, but then you'll realize, oh, that's what they were doing. Even the fucking, like, backstory of the planet is simply aimed around getting you to fucking do a challenge. The entire fucking game is like this. There's no story, you know? There's no plot. All you're doing is completing challenges so you can beat the game. That's it. It's just challenge after challenge. And I wouldn't even say it's, like, really well designed. It's really claustrophobic and confusing. Okay. I think maybe I had, like, 24 hours of gameplay. And I would argue that maybe 6 hours, maybe not 6 hours. That might be pushing it. It seems like half the time spent playing the game is just looking at the fucking map, trying to figure out where to go. There was never a point where I was content to just meander around and go places and see what these rooms had to offer. No. The entire time, I was like, I'm going to look at my map, because if I don't, I'm going to get fucking lost, and then I'm going to have to spend 45 minutes backtracking. And that's how bad the backtracking was. And maybe how bad the environment was. it wasn't like a fun place to like roam around and explore. You know, I was so against the idea of just lingering in this place or being immersed in the environment. I was so adverse to that because of how much I hated the environment and how much every environment reminded me how far away I was from fucking completing the game. Because they make you know at every second. You go into any room, there's like 3 different doors you can't unlock because you're going to have to go back there way later in the game and unlock them again. I'm walking through a map. I'm not walking through like, oh, it's a world and there's creatures and there's rocks and history. No, I am walking through a fucking map that's going to get me from point A to point B so I can end this fucking game because I paid way too much money for it. That's what it gets down to. You know, this fucking game, you go into any GameStop, any online like game retail place, you can find 1 million copies of Metroid Prime 1 for like $1. 1 million copies of Metroid Prime 3 for like $1. This fucking game used is like $35. Why? Probably because no one wants them. No one wants to fucking play them. You know, they're just disappearing from planet Earth because honestly, the world would be better without them. And so now if you really want to, if you really want to fucking play this, you're going to have to put money, you're going to have to shell money out for it. Because, you know, whoever owns this knows someone's going to fucking buy it. Someone is going to be compulsive enough and obsessive enough to have to try this game despite the bad reviews. Because every review is bad. I have not read a single review where they're like, yeah, we recommend a 10 out of 10. There's always problems with it. And still, I felt this compulsion to buy it and play it. Despite the reviews saying, no, don't do it. Was it a waste of money? I'd be inclined to say no, it wasn't, because I think that everything is worth experiencing, good or bad, but this was not worth the money. This is a specific instance in which I would 100% have been better off not playing it. I would have saved time, and I would have saved a lot of nights sitting by the window, just staring out at the street, dumbfounded by how angry I was. You know, this game made me a worse person. I don't know what I was thinking. What I will say, I played it through to the end. By the end, I stopped scanning shit and I didn't give a fuck about finding like health bonuses or whatever. I just wanted to end it. I wanted to finish the fucking game. Graphically it looks good, but it's not even like pretty. You know, the first one looks pretty. The third one looks pretty. This one is a clusterfuck. When I go through an environment, I'm like, wow, this is really a gorgeous like world they've created. I'm like, oh, you got to jump on this box to get to this box to get to this door. But the only way to get through that door is by getting this particular gun, which I have to go here to get. The entire setup of the game is just driving you to the end. You know, there's I think poor world building. You know, at least compared to what the first and the third one did, which is like these really atmospheric, engrossing adventure games. In this one, I think maybe it's closer to what the originals were. I haven't really played the originals. You know, maybe that was kind of their shtick, was like, here's a really challenging game, and if you could beat it, congratulations, because that's what this was. You know, it was a different type of video game. It was just hard, you know, it was a challenge. And it was faulty, and you really had to learn how to do it, but I guess if you can fucking get through it, props to you, congratulations, you know, you conquered this piece of shit game. Although I don't know why you would care to conquer it, because you're going to end up becoming a worse person to get through it. It's just a negative game. It's a bad game. I think the soundtrack sucked. The first game had an incredible soundtrack, which, again, added to the environment, which is probably why this didn't have it. Anything environment or atmosphere related, the designers were just like, nah, fuck that. We're going to make a really hard game. You know, if they wanted something atmospheric and interesting, fuck them. They'll have to play the first one. We're going to make a really difficult game. A really really difficult game. But yeah, I was really disappointed by the soundtrack, or like the lack of soundtrack. The first one had such an interesting soundtrack, a really well composed score, I would even call it. And it was really engrossing. It really made me enjoy like the atmosphere so much more. In this game, I paid attention to the soundtrack too. I was like, I love the soundtrack on the first one. I'm gonna turn the volume up when I play. And I was just solely disappointed. Not only that, the controls. Oh my fucking god! I would have preferred the Wiimote. Honestly, I know a lot of people fucking hated the Wiimote in the third one. I would have preferred it. Because this was abominable. You know, you'd be trying to look up. You can't look up unless you, like, tilt back and you're constantly, like, pressing Z. I don't know. You know, yeah, I guess you'd have to play it to kind of understand what I'm talking about. Bottom line is, I broke a remote. You know, play. If any of you want this, if someone watches this and wants this game, I'll sell it to you. You know, I will sell this to you. If you really want a copy of this game, buy it off of me. Message me, and I will make it happen. I will ship this to you. You know, if you have Venmo or something, because you're gonna have to pay me for it. I paid way too good of money for it. It was a bad game.